Hey everyone, I'm here with a 2013 Chrysler 300S all-wheel drive, and today I want to do a quick update on this car. It's got 150,000 miles on it, 151,700 to be exact. And as you guys may have known, I drove this car about 5 years ago and sold it to my brother-in-law, who still is driving it. It's still going strong, and we want to do a quick update on it and see how it's doing. All right, so stepping around this vehicle here, taking a look at the wheels and tires. The fronts are a little low on tread. They're probably at about 4 or 5 30 seconds of tread life on there, so they're about 60% worn or so. The back tires are in much better shape. They got about 6 or 7 30 seconds of tread on there, so they're only about 30% worn. And you know, this car doesn't have really any rust on it at all, and it's lived its whole life pretty much in the Midwest. Yeah, I had it in Michigan for a bit, it was in Iowa for a bit. Now it's in Minnesota full-time for the last year and a half. Sorry about the plane, of course I'm by the airport. But pretty much all around this car, we're in the middle of winter here, January 14th today, so it's doing really well. No rust at all. Panels look good. Wheels look good, no corrosion on those. And it still has the tinted front and rear windows that were on it when I had it, and when the car was down in Tennessee and Ohio early in its life. So let's step inside, do a quick startup. All right. As you can see, 151,700 miles on the clock. Interior is still looking really fresh and good. Just needs a little bit of a clean, but in terms of the dashboard quality, no cracks. Same thing with the gauge cluster top here, no cracks or dents or anything like that. And the door panels look clean, no issues at all. The leatherette armrest looks good. Door handles not flaking or anything, and the buttons are still in great shape. And as you guys may have known, this is one of those models that has adaptive cruise control and forward collision warning, which wasn't super common on these cars. You had to get a separate option package to get it. I think it was the Safety Tech group at the time. Beats by Dre audio system still sounds good. The only thing is that the fuse in the trunk had to be replaced because the fuse blew and didn't have any audio in the car, but the fuse was literally $2 and about 10 minutes at the most to remove the trim panel, access the relay or fuse box and replace that and test it out. So less than 10 minutes to get that done. All right, we'll give it a little startup here, foot on the brake, and we'll start it. And it's 27 degrees on a warm engine. All right, easy startup, back down to 1,000 RPM just like that, and it's just off the cold there, so it's warmed up. Now the tire pressure monitoring system still has a little bit of an issue on this car. A couple of the tires do not actually read anything in terms of pressure, so that's something to keep in mind going forward on this. As you can tell, the front left sensor is not working properly. Tires are up near 40 PSI, which is good for this cold weather. Like I said, it's 27 degrees outside, so you need to keep those tires up in order to ride out those potholes, make sure you get decent gas mileage in the cold winter weather, and make sure that the tires last as long as possible. So overall, it's looking good, and all the steering wheel still is feeling really fresh. No wrinkles or tears on the steering wheel at all at 152,000 miles. Seats look good. Some water here from the snow. And same thing with this seat. Still looks good. No issues at all. So yeah, and then you got the sunroof here. It's got a few wrinkles that have kind of developed from sag over time in the cloth there, but nothing too crazy. Not unexpected for a 10-year-old vehicle. Let's see if the dome lights still work. I believe they do. Yep, still work just fine. So the tire pressure monitoring system still has a fault in that front left tire. That'd be about a $200 to $300 fix to get the tire pressure monitoring system fixed, which is not really worth it for the car that's 10 years old. Just check the tire pressures yourself. Windows still work fine. In really hot weather, you'll still get a warning message saying that the blind spot monitoring and rear cross traffic alert is unavailable. which causes also this whole panel here to not work. So the door locks and windows don't work anymore. The mirror controls don't work. So there's something in the door here, or a module for this door. I believe it's like the master door module that might have a fault, because it's causing the blind spot monitoring to not work. It's causing this whole panel not to work. So all the electronic stuff in this door does not work. And so there's something that's overheating in there, but it gets fixed just by running the AC in the summer for about 10 minutes. All right, we'll step outside the car and do a quick walk around and talk about a few more things that might needed to have been fixed over the last 20,000 miles since the last update. The biggest news since 20,000 miles ago when I last did an update on this car was that the spark plugs were changed on it. There was misfiring on all cylinders. It was like a P001, 004 code, and it was just misfiring randomly on cylinders 1 through 4 out of the 6 cylinders. So they replaced the spark plugs, which required the intake manifold to be completely taken off, and then to access the spark plugs on one of the banks of cylinders. So once that was replaced, the check engine light went away with no issues. At first, they thought it was just dirty fuel injectors, so threw in some Chevron Techron fuel injector cleaner into the tank, but that didn't fix it. But once we did the spark plugs on it, it was totally back up and running just fine. And the MPG improved by about 2 miles per gallon, so huge win there. As you can see, the headlights are still swiveling, still working fine. The bi xenon function works. Once the car goes into drive, the daytime running lights will turn on, so those are still working just fine with no issues. And as you can tell, it still sounds very, very good under the hood, with really not a lot of valve tick or lifter tick or any of the fuel injectors that sound like they're worn. Take a listen. Yeah, so still sounds really good. The hood struts still work fine up to 152,000 miles. In cold weather, they still hold the hood up. We don't have any sag here from the carpet underneath the hood to dampen the sound from the engine, so that's good too. Yeah, everything seems to be holding up just fine. Yeah, so that just about covers it on the Chrysler 300, the 2013 Chrysler 300S all-wheel drive. Not too many updates on this vehicle. It still is running really well. Just got some maintenance done, the fuel injector cleaner in the tank, the spark plugs, and I should mention also that the front brake rotors and pads were also replaced. So that was another update over the last 20,000 miles. And so all in all, this car has been somewhere around the $800 to $900 in maintenance mark after the last 20,000 miles. Not too bad for a 10-year-old car with 152,000 miles. Like I said, no rust, no panel issues. Fit and finish still excellent, holding up really well in terms of the trim and trim pieces inside and out of the vehicle. All right, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this video on this update of the 2013 Chrysler 300S all-wheel drive. And it's still going strong, as you can tell. And I'll be sure to do more and more updates as we put more miles on this vehicle over the coming years. Thank you guys for watching, and have a good one.